So I'm on my phone. I had to do this the last time I did a live, and for some reason my laptop is not letting me talk to you. It lets me hear you and hear whatever I want to, but it won't let me put any sound out. So here we are back on the phone. It works great. That's what I love about my iPhone. It's gonna work no matter what. So that's a good thing. So we're having a nice storm here in Kalamazoo. So I don't know where you are, but hopefully you're somewhere warm where the sun is shining, because I think we saw some sun yesterday or the day before. But for the next 7 days, we're gonna have ice and snow, and all the snow plowers are happy about that, including my son-in-law and my grandson, because they like to plow snow, but not so much for me. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit tonight about connections. I have made some amazing connections through social media for the IWMA, but I've been working with a couple of race teams, and we're going to be working on sponsorships. So I wanted to hear you, and you can post in the comments if you want to. I wanted to know, where do you find your connections? Do you go to networking events? Do you find them at the racetrack? Do you do cold calls? Yay, Jeanette, awesome. I'm glad you can hear me. So where do you find your connections? So I met Jeanette, who owns Car Chicks, CHIX. She's on Facebook, and she sells t-shirts, and she's awesome. We've become good friends, and I know we're going to become even better friends. So I met Jeanette through social media, like I've met pretty much all of you. But I also know there's a lot of other ways to make good connections, especially if you're looking for sponsorships. And who's not looking for new sponsors at this time of year, especially? So I used to be in a B&I group when I was with my Send Out Cards company. I joined B&I. That's a Business Networking International. It's a huge networking business. It is a business, but it's a networking group. And we have quite a few groups here in Kalamazoo, and only one person in any particular field can be in a group. So you build really good relationships. So I built a lot of good relationships when I was in that group, and I still use those people. Carpet cleaning, mortgage, insurance, just all kinds of things. So that's one way that you can make new connections. And it's a good way if you have a business besides racing. I highly recommend you join a B&I group, because that's a great way to let people know what you're doing. What are some other ways that you make connections? So I found an article today that I was reading, and that's what made me think, hey, Woody, glad to be back. I read this article today, and it made me think that that's what the topic was going to be tonight, was about connections. So do you go to business networking events? And if so, are you the kind of person that just goes and you just pass out all your business cards, but you don't really make any really good connections? So we're going to say quality is more important than quantity. So networking events are great. So are community events. Those are great places to meet people. You know, I had a booth at PRI, and I was happy that I did, and I'm going to have one next year as well. But I also know that a good way to make connections at PRI or any kind of event like that is by walking around and talking to the vendors. So the first year, a couple years ago when I went, that's what I did. I walked around and I talked to the vendors, and I made some really good connections. The key to that is the follow-up. Meeting them at a vendor event is great, but they meet so many people there that you need to go and find a way to follow up, which, of course, Send Out Cards is my favorite way to follow up. You can put pictures on the card. You can put their logo on the card. You can add brownies or cookies. Jeanette knows all about the brownies. And send those. Then that sets you apart from all the other hundreds of people that they met over the weekend. What about community events? So chili cook-offs, or events where, it's like a community event in the summer where it's kind of like a homecoming celebration. What about all those? Most of those places have car shows. They usually have craft shows. They have businesses who are sponsoring things. That's a good place to go and get yourself out there. Maybe you want to have your car in the parade. A lot of communities have parades in the summer. So I know it's a little bit of work, and it might be on race day morning, but if you're the only one or one of only a few cars that are in a parade in your local community, then it's so worth it. Put your car on the trailer, have it all ready for the race, go to the parade, spend a couple hours, if you have the time, park it and let kids come and sit in it, get their pictures with you. That's a pretty cool way to get your name out there. Maybe you could even give away a couple free tickets for the race that night. Maybe you could invite somebody to be your official crew chief for the night, and they get to come into the pits with you. You pay their pit pass, and they can come into the pits with you and see what it's really like to have a race car and what it takes to get it out on the track. So where are you going to find those connections? Where are some other places that you might find good connections? Church. Business people go to church. Who do you know that goes to your church that owns a business that knows you but might not know that much about you or that you race a car? So any kind of social organization, there's Kiwanis, there's the Lions Club. Just think about in your community, and the bigger the community you live in, the more advantages you have as far as those kind of groups. I know in Kalamazoo, there are a lot of those kind of organizations. So, what could you do? What about the school? What about offering to go back to the school that you went to, or if you're in school, offer to bring your car one day and, have an assembly if they'll let you do that, or bring it for your own class and explain to them about racing, where you race, how you got into racing. Hey, Georgina, tell them about what you're doing. Invite your class to come and watch you. Maybe you can rent the party deck for a little bit of money, not very much, and invite your class to come to the party deck and watch you race. How fun would that be? There's just so many things that you can do. So again, if you've got any suggestions about how you make connections, go ahead and, Chamber of Commerce, Jeanette, great place to make good connections. Chamber of Commerce is probably one that should have been at the top of my list. So I read this article today, and one of the things it says, and I've got it in front of me, so I keep looking at it. It says, volunteer to be on the board of a nonprofit association, or attend charity and fundraising events. Oh yes, those are great ideas. And then what about your marketing partners that you have? What kind of business do they have? How could you take your car to that business and they'll advertise it, get it on the radio station, get some PSAs, public service announcements. We can help you with figuring out how to get your event broadcast. And of course, social media. I mean, that's the number one way to let people know where you're going to be. But what if let's say you were the Dairy Queen was your sponsor. So you're going to be at the Dairy Queen on Friday from 3 to 6 or 6 to 9. And anybody that comes gets $1 off for a purchase. I mean, what a great deal for the Dairy Queen, and what a great deal for you, because you're giving back to your sponsor by having the car there. That draws more people maybe on a Friday night to the Dairy Queen, and the Dairy Queen is helping you because they're sponsoring your car, plus they're giving the people that come, a coupon, 50 cents, $1 off, whatever it might be. So that's another thing you can do. You can't always be the taker. It's great to have sponsors. We all love sponsors. I like to call them marketing partners. A sponsor to me is somebody that gives you money or whatever they give you and they don't expect anything back. A marketing partner is marketing with you. So one of them, to me, a sponsor does something for you. A marketing partner is working with you. Big difference. You're doing for them, they're doing for you. If you give back to them, do you think that next year when you go and say, hey, I'm racing, I'm moving up a class, now I'm going to be racing a series or whatever you're going to be doing, do you think that maybe they would want to help you again because you've been such a good partner with them in the past? Absolutely. So Heather says, network at trade events, absolutely. Charity organizations to raise money for, and network at all different race events. So exactly, like we have a quarter midget track right next to Kalamazoo Speedway. And what if you went over there, and I know they have billboards all along the back of their track, just like Kalamazoo Speedway does. But what if you partnered with somebody over there and said, hey, I'll partner and help you with your child or whatever, doing some, get them in a parade or help them somehow, whatever you're good at. And then watch you race and bring their family. Everybody helps each other. It's not all about you and it's not all about them, but you've got to work together. So, volunteer on a board. That was one of the things. Volunteer to give a presentation. I kind of said that like about the school. Even if you're an adult, maybe your kids go to school there. What about career day? Isn't driving a race car like having a second career? Absolutely. Maybe it is your career. Some of you that have made it to the big time. How exciting would that be if they said, hey, Erica Enders was at our school today, or McKenna Hassey. McKenna's one of my favorite gals, or Natalie Decker, another one of our favorites. I've got a lot of favorites. I better stop naming them. I'm going to get in trouble. But who do you know? So connect with people. It's not always about who you know. It's about who do the people that you know. So I'm going to say that again. It's not just about who you know. It's about the people that you know. Who do they know? And it's that ripple effect. So I'm the rock that falls in the pond. The ripple goes out. I know Jeanette. I know Heather. I know Brandy Snyder. I know Taylor Imus. I know Jason Seltzer. I know Woody, Michael Wood, the photographer. So that's my ripple. Now, who does Woody know? Who does Brandy know? Who does Jeanette know? Jeanette knows a lot of people. She's a good one to have in my ripple. So how are you going to start your ripple of getting connections outside of your, what we're going to say, your warm market? They call it warm market, but it could be your family and your close friends, people you went to school with. So another thing, when you're out and about, maybe you're an introvert. Maybe you are not comfortable with talking to people you don't know. So Jeanette's in my ripple. Yes, you are, Jeanette. So be comfortable talking with people you know. If you are a race car person, I know you're passionate about it, or you wouldn't be doing it, because you're certainly not making any money, and you're probably not famous, except maybe at your local track. But how fun would it be to speak at an event, or go, maybe even speak at the chamber on behalf of your track? Say, hey, I've raced at the Kalamazoo Speedway for 30 years, and this is why I do it. There are always organizations looking for people to speak. I love to speak about the IWMA. So anybody that would want me to come and speak at their banquet or at their organization, I'd love to do it, because I love telling about what I'm doing. Sorry. So who could you connect with where you could say, hey, if you ever need a speaker, I know somebody that would like to do it, or I would like to come and speak to you about what we do and why we do it. So that's another good thing. It is hard to talk in front of people at first. It's usually not something easy for everybody. I've learned over the years about it, and I'm comfortable with it. It took me a little while to get used to the Facebook Lives. I wasn't very comfortable at first, but now it's like I'm talking to my friends, because there's Tina Lewis. I wouldn't have known Tina and Camille had it not been for they race where my granddaughter races. Now I've met them in person. They're members of the IWMA. So now I have a relationship with them. They're my friends. So the more that you meet these people, you talk to them, even if it's just through social media, okay? Because I've met so many cool women, and we just put out our January magazine. I have to fix a couple corrections tonight that they didn't get to me before I published it. And so I'm going to go back and kind of fix it a little bit tonight. But the cool thing about that magazine is it's interactive now. When you open that magazine, the pages flip like this. You can flip the pages, and there are videos from YouTube in there of 3 or 4 different racers. So now when I do stories about women or a different series or anything, I can add video and all kinds of cool stuff. And I'm so excited. Hey, Bambi, she's wearing her bracelets. Awesome. So there are so many things you can do, but you can't just sit around through the winter and then start thinking in April about your sponsors. You can't really even take very much time off. Sure, take a few weeks off after racing, but the sooner you get on board with getting some new marketing partners, or even going into the ones you have, or sending them cards with boxes of brownies. I'm telling you, it works. Those brownies are magic. So get on there or get out there and think. They always say think outside the box. Well, think even more outside than that, because there's opportunities for every one of you to get new marketing partners. And even if it's $500 worth of vegetables at the veggie stand, that's $500 you don't have to spend for your family that you can now earmark towards your racing. Or maybe they're going to buy your gas for the year. Or, hey, ladies, what about your hair salon? What about where you get your nails done? What about your dentist? What about the guy that you bought your car from? There's so many things. Let's not always just look at, the tire place and the gas place. Why don't we think about who sold you your house? Who do you know that owns a business that you have a relationship with? Absolutely, Heather, a handwritten thank you. So basically that's kind of what send out cards is. You type your own message in the card, and Send Out Cards prints the card for you, mails it for you. It's a cool card that you can add pictures to. They have lots of gifts. And I send cards for about $1. And that includes the 50 cents postage, which, by the way, is going to be going up here in another few days. But absolutely, there's all kinds of things you can do to thank those sponsors. So make sure that's on your list of things to do. But just think about what is happening in your community. If you get in, we get the Kalamazoo Gazette only on Sunday now because there's not much in it, but they do produce every so often like what's happening in the community. And I know that there's things even in the winter here that if you had a race car and you wanted to see who's out there marketing their business, that's kind of what you're looking for, isn't it? Who is spending the dollars on advertising in the paper? Who's spending the dollars on billboards and things like that? If they have a budget to do some of that, maybe they have a budget to put their name on your race car. It's not just about going around the track. Honestly, having their name on the race car is only a little tiny bit of the return on investment, okay? The return on investment is really when you wear the t-shirt that they gave you that says Discount Tire, or it says the Yogurt Co., or it says Dairy Queen, okay? That's what you're doing. You're giving back. So put those sponsors on the back of your t-shirt and and wear those shirts. So that's, I'm kind of going all over the place, but I've just got so many things in my mind, and I'm thinking about how easy it would be for you to really find some sponsors. Who do you know that is a connector? So if you don't know what a connector is somebody that wants to connect you to somebody that you need to talk to. And I feel like that's what I am, because I meet all kinds of girls that, let's say that I met a young gal who's a sprint car driver. And she, she's looking at the people that are famous that are sprint car drivers, and there really aren't any women out there. But I say, hey, I want to connect you to somebody. And then I connect her to McKenna Hassey. Because McKenna's an up-and-coming, her name's known in the sprint car racing. And so then I connect the two of them. What if somebody said, I want to know something about Great Lakes Dragway, I think, in Wisconsin, Jeanette? I would say Jeanette. Jeanette does all kinds of things about, the drag strip, the events. She sponsors them. So if I have somebody that's interested in going to an event there or wants to know more about it, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to connect you to my friend Jeanette. What if somebody said to me, hey, my daughter is going to be 16. I want to buy her a car. Now, that doesn't have anything to do with racing, but I might even see that they posted on Facebook, hey, we're looking for a car for my daughter. She's going to turn 16. Okay, my son-in-law has a car lot. I'm going to connect them if, they're in the right vicinity. So how can you be a connector? You never know when you're connecting other people how you might be connected to them down the road, or how if things go well in the transaction or whatever, they might be so appreciative of you that they're going to want to start supporting you a little bit too. So be a connector or find a connector, one or the other, because that can really change how things go for you. So how do you get people to remember you? One of the things is you got to set yourself apart from everybody else. So maybe it's the hobby that you have, racing. That's a good thing that sets you apart. But if you're like most people that are in racing, you have a lot of other interests too. Maybe you're a golfer, or you play tennis, or your kids play baseball. So, find other people's hobbies and interests that are like yours and start to develop a relationship with them. So Dwayne wants to know who makes a good t-shirt. Dwayne, I'll connect you with somebody after the call. So who do you know that has hobbies that are similar to yours that are not involved with racing? Think about that. That's another way to make new friends, build relationships. It isn't about going into a networking event, handing a business card and think you're going to get their business, or think that they're going to give you $1,000 for your car. You have to build the relationships. And it's inviting them to the race. It's showing up for different events where they're going to be. Yes, Angel, it's your personality. It's out, can you talk to people? Can you share what you love about racing? Can you share why you need marketing partners? So, you just have to really sit down and think about some of these things, or Google how to make connections. There's some great articles out there about that. When you meet someone new, do you give them a compliment? Or when you're done talking to them, can you give them a compliment? Oh, it was so nice to meet you today. Or, wow, I really like your business. It's always so clean and neat. When I come in, I can always find what I want. Maybe it's a restaurant and you say, hey, I really love coming here because the wait staff is so friendly. Find something to compliment the person about that you're meeting. And that also helps build a relationship. This one I had to laugh about. It says, know a little about a lot of things. That is my husband, okay? He says he has a mind like a steel trap. I won't go that far to say that's true, but he knows a little about a lot of things. He has a welding business. He can fix just about anything and fabricate it, and has made me very surprised on occasion at the things that he has done. He's been a welder for 50 years or 40 years, a long time. But know a little bit about a lot of things. It's okay to be an expert. You want to be an expert on some things, hopefully your job or your business. But if you know a little bit about all different kinds of racing, that's what I'm trying to do. I knew a lot about asphalt short track racing, but I didn't really know a whole lot about drag racing or sprint car racing or even dirt, because I have to drive an hour to go to a dirt track. So I'm learning from all of you about all kinds of different kinds of racing. So a little bit of knowledge about a lot of things so that you can kind of talk to anybody, whether they are horseback riders or they, like I said, they golf or whatever they do. Just stay informed and always try to find something that you can connect to them with, because we're talking about making connections tonight, okay? And then keep in touch. So, you know, I'm the wrong person to talk to about keep in touch, because the number one way to keep in touch is send out cards. I use it every day, and it does help build relationships, but it doesn't have to be send out cards. It could be a phone call. It could be a text. It could be a, hey, Woody, I haven't seen you for a while. Let's meet for lunch. It could be a number of ways to stay in touch. Social media. Email's probably the bottom of my list because it's impersonal, and I think even though social media can be impersonal and you can not always understand the meaning behind what's said, it's still better than email. So what are some ways that you're going to start connecting that you haven't thought of before in the past? Anybody want to post on here? Just tell me something that you're going to do. Are you going to be in a parade? What are you going to do? So think about those things. And even if you listen to this later, go ahead and post it on here so that I know kind of what you are going to be doing down the road. So another thing that I want to just mention real quickly, I have a new project that I'm working on, and it is going to be helping some teams get sponsorship, marketing partners. And I've got 3 right now. I'm going to take 2 more. So I'm going to start with 5 teams, preferably girls, women, because that's kind of my area of interest and expertise at the moment. At some point down the road, we will probably take on some guys as well. But we're going to be starting here in another week or so. So if you would like to apply to be one of the 2 spots that are left, as far as this is going to be a beta test. We're going to make you do the work, but we're going to tell you how to do it and how to get new marketing partners, where to find them, what the proposal should look like. You've got to put a budget together for us so we know what kind of budget you're looking for. Woody, I don't think it's going to work for photographers, but maybe we'll do a side job for you guys. So I've got 3 teams that are committed. I've got 2 spots open, and it can be anywhere. Doesn't matter. We're going to communicate through Zoom and texting, social media. So it doesn't matter where you are, but if you know a gal who really has a heart for racing, has a passion for racing, and also is the kind of gal that would not be afraid to talk to some new marketing partners, put herself out there a little bit, then let her know to get a hold of me through Facebook or texting. And we'll see if we can't help her. So we're going to start with 5. And if that goes as well as I'm expecting, then when those are done, then we'll branch out and we'll add some more people to it. So yes, Woody, photographers need partners and sponsors. I get that. Hey, Mike, it's good to see you on here. Angel, good. Let them know to get a hold of me, and we'll see if we can't get them on the program. So that's about it for tonight. Let me see if I have anything else on my notes. I guess my final thing is about where connections can lead you. So Facebook is how I met 99% of you that are on here. And I was looking for an intro and an outgo for our recorded podcast interviews. And somebody I did not know connected me to a guy in Las Vegas that I did not know. And he connected me, and I had an amazing intro and outgo made for my recorded podcast. Hey, Scott Lynch, you know I was talking about you. So I did not know Scott Lynch, but he knew a guy, and the guy helped me out. That's called making connections. I just met another guy, talked to him on the phone, who has a radio show. And now they're interested, after seeing kind of what we've been doing, they're interested in interviewing women on their radio show or have a radio show. And so he wants to talk to me about women that I know that he could interview on his radio show, and how do I go about do it. Hey, McKenna. And so it's all about those connections, people. Who do you know and who do they know? And that's what we're going to work on over the next 2 or 3 months here with those 5 teams. And then we're going to talk about it some on here on the podcast about how do you go about getting those marketing partners. And then we'll talk about some other things too. We're going to talk about branding, and we're going to talk about what you should and should not say on social media. We've got lots of things that we can share with you. Yes, exactly, Scott. Get contracts with drivers and teams, tracks, and event promoters. Yes, because the promoters obviously want as many cars as always to come to their track or to run with their series, and make good connections to those promoters and be a good connection to them. Praise what they're doing. That's a hard job. I know a couple guys that are 3 guys that are doing a series. It's a lot of work. And believe me, folks, you don't get paid. It's because you love it. So connect to those promoters, help them out every chance you get, go and be a part of their race series. Lots more. So anytime that if you're listening to this after we've gone off the air and it's recorded, still go ahead and put some comments, because where are you finding your connections for your marketing partners, whatever it is that you're doing. We want to share that with everybody else, because sometimes what I think is normal and how I go about things might help McKenna Snyder find a partner that she hadn't thought of for her race car. So be sure and share that on here. I think that's about everything I had for tonight. We're going to go back and have some recorded podcasts coming up with some ladies. I'm getting them scheduled. And there's some awesome women that are going to be on our podcast coming up. It's going to be so fun. And yeah, Car Chicks. Jeanette says Car Chicks also looks for media peeps for their events. So they're always looking for help and people to partner with them. So one hand helps the other, right? We all help each other, and that's how we're going to keep this sport alive and growing. So thanks for being on here with me tonight. At 8 o'clock, stay tuned for the Midwest Compact Touring Series on their Facebook page. They're going to have a live event tonight. And I think there's Hannah Thomas is going to be interviewing a young woman. I'm going to be on with them just for a little bit tonight to see what they've got going on. So go get a drink and have a little snack and come back at 8 o'clock to the Midwest Compact Touring Series page, and we'll talk to you then. If you have any ideas or any suggestions for what you would like me to focus on a future podcast, then just reach out to me and let me know. And I'll keep trying to share as much information as I can with you and help you have a very successful race season. So stay warm if you're in the upper Midwest like I am in Kalamazoo. Stay off the roads because it's icy, and we'll talk to you next week.